on to the Yom Hashoah program of the Young Israeli Prayer. I'll give you another chance, a minute, to find a seat. Mezzanine front is not bad either. There's plenty of room upstairs. Last year, as we ended a memorable evening of presentations by second-generation speakers, Fern Resmovitz casually suggested that we should someday dedicate a program to the theme of music and the Shoah. From that germ of an idea came tonight's program. Thank you, Fern, for the work and the inspiration. As always, we needed to look no further than our own backyards for talent. What a treasure trove we uncovered. A vast community of gifted, knowledgeable, versatile, energetic, and enthusiastic musicians and singers live and daven right here in our midst. Chief among them was Gail Ashkenazi, whose passion for this subject was boundless. And her mom's in the audience, so I remember that. And whose patient efforts to bring it all together made it all happen. We really owe this entire program to her. Mark Newman, from the start, gave us ideas and precious material. Ruth Seif was an inspiration as well from day one, simply handing me a veritable archive of invaluable musical and historical data. Remarkable Ryan Ostrow, who, like the Wizard of Oz, is behind the screen tonight, came forth with the high-tech paraphernalia which resulted in the phenomenal visual component that accompanies our musical selections tonight. My husband Arthur brought his love of music and technology to every aspect of this program. The performers listed in the program deserve tremendous, tremendous accolades for taking the time to discover and rehearse and perfect their material, which in most cases was brand new to them. To our candlelighters and to our fourth grade choir members, we are so proud of you and so grateful that you are helping us pass the torch of remembrance from one generation to the next. Thank you, Ruthie Dienstag, for once again arranging the candle lighting ceremony, and to Sarah Davidowitz, Fran Kalish, Shane Rosinski, Ellen Tushinsky, and Mary Chandler for organizing the reading of the names of our Kedoshim. Thank you to Judy Sobel and Julie Polker for publicity, and to Jared Fuller for videography. Rabbi Lerner, Abby Lerner, Shoshana Agus, Eric Rosen, Ro Camelhart, David and Lonnie Pelkovitz, thank you for your help and support. And I did want to give a plug to Costa Piano Rentals, the Ruth Diskin Film Distribution Center in Israel, and Boston Warehouse Candle Company, who contributed the candles. Every year we have a coda to our program, and it's comprised of Morris Lewinter, Yaakov Toledano, and Arthur Kirsch. For various reasons, Morris and Arthur cannot join us tonight, but we thank our trio anyway, and Yaakov, thank you so much for coming. We're going to start right now with the reading of the Kedoshim, and then we'll continue with the musical program. We begin with a tribute to the music of the pre-war period, represented by the classic Yiddish ballad, Offen Pripyatchik, performed by Louise Kahn's fourth graders at the North Shore Hebrew Academy and conducted and arranged by Marceline Yellen. Music and lyrics are by Mark Warshawski, who was a lawyer in Kiev and a close friend of Shalom Aleichem. Warshawski single-handedly transformed the world of Yiddish folk songs and is often referred to as the Yiddish Woody Guthrie. He died in 1907. In this beautiful and beloved composition, a Rebbe cajoles his little pupils to learn the Aleph Beis. Most touching are the words of the penultimate stanza. When children, you get older, you will understand how many tears lie in these letters and how much crying. The second selection that the children will perform was written by a contemporary musician named Andrea Rosenbaum, who just happens to have been Rabbi Jeffrey Copeland's fourth grade teacher. So Rachel, we're ready for our choir. A survey of pre-war Jewish music would not be complete without some klezmer. Klezmer music was the dominant musical tradition of Ashkenazi Jews of Eastern Europe and played a major role in shtetl and city life. Meant to replicate the human voice, including sounds of crying, wailing, and laughing, and favoring instruments that were portable, like the violin, the mandolin, and clarinet. Klezmer lived on in the packed and wretched ghettos of Europe. Despite unspeakable hardships, people basically still yearn to be Freilich. The last surviving Holocaust klezmer player at 94 continues to live and play his music in Poland, where his entire family lies buried. His name is Leopold Kozlowski, and he has written, "Music is my revenge. Hitler destroyed Jews, but not their music. Music lives forever." Listen now to the beautiful sound produced by Seth Wilson's clarinet, Stuart Ashkenazi on piano, and Noam Siegel on mandolin. This is Freilach Zane and the Odessa Bulgar. Following the pogrom in the Polish town of Prychik in 1938, Mordechai Gebertik wrote the stirring song, Es brennt, It Burns, about the fires that engulfed his little shtetl. Es brennt was popular in the ghettos and is still one of the most often performed commemorative songs of the period. Gebertik was a well-known Yiddish songwriter before the war and continued to write and compose in the Krakow ghetto. He was shot by the Germans on June 4th, 1942. Es brennt will be sung this evening by Elliot Astro, accompanied by Gail Ashkenazi.
Reisen, brechen und zerblasen, starke Nacht, die wilde Flammen, als Rumschein brennt. Flammen, Altarum schein Brand. Ohne Stecken guckt das Häuser mit verlegter Hand. Ohne Stecken guckt das Häuser, unser steht auf Brand.
The music of the ghettos and camps often echoed the music of the pre-war era, but served up with a twist. Irony and satire played a major role in the lyrics. In the next selection, the poet Isaiah Spiegel, writing in the Lodz ghetto, takes the traditional and beautiful Yiddish lullaby Rozhenkis mit Mandlin, which was written by Abraham Goldfaden for the opera Shalamis, and stands it on its head. In a universe turned upside down, the lullaby is now entitled Nit kein Rozhenkis, or Nit kein Mandlin, no more raisins, no more almonds. Here is Meir Abitan, accompanied by Gail Ashkenazi.
Nicht kein Rozhenkis, nicht kein Mandel, der Tate ist nicht gefahren in Handel. Lulinke mein Sohn, Lulinke mein Sohn. Hat verlost und weg, wo die Welt hat nur eine. Lulinke mein Sohn, Lulinke mein Sohn. Schreien Sobis, Svoin Werf, Gott der Barim, sich unherf. Lulinke mein Sohn, Lulinke mein Sohn. Geht, steht und wach, Mandlin Rozhenkis Asach. Lulinke mein Sohn, Lulinke mein Sohn. Nicht kein Rozhenkis und nicht kein Mandlin, der Tate ist nicht gefallen in Handlin. Lulinke mein Sohn, Lulinke mein Sohn, Lulinke mein Sohn.
Hanna Senish was born in Hungary in 1921. He was one of 37 Jews from Palestine parachuted by the British Army into Yugoslavia during World War II to assist in the rescue of Hungarian Jews about to be deported to Auschwitz. Senish was arrested at the Hungarian border, then imprisoned and tortured, but refused to reveal the details of her mission. She was eventually tried and executed by firing squad on November 7, 1944. She was all of 23. Hanna Senish is regarded as a national heroine in Israel, where her poetry is widely known. Her best-known poem, Halikala Kesaria, or Keli Keli, was set to music by David Zahavi, whose dates are 1910 to 1977. Keli Keli will be performed this evening by Craig Resnick.
Shamayim tfilat hadam hachol ve'hayam rishus shel hamayim v'rak hashamayim tfilat hadam. Hashamayim tfilat hadam hachol ve'hayam rishus shel hamayim v'rak hashamayim tfilat hadam.
Last year, at the age of 108, Alice Hertz Sommer passed away. Born in Prague, she became one of Czechoslovakia's most accomplished pianists. But in 1944, she and her husband and young son were rounded up and transported to Theresian. There, Hertz Sommer practiced daily in icy music rooms and performed hundreds of concerts for guards and inmates. Many survivors of Theresian recall with reverence the concerts in which Hertz Sommer performed from memory 24 of Chopin's etudes, physically demanding pieces that she undertook even though her strength was diminished by months of hunger. Hertz Sommer and her son Rafi survived Theresian. Her husband Leopold was transported to Auschwitz and did not. There have been several documentaries about her life, including the Academy Award-winning The Lady in Number 6, which was the number of her apartment. In this excerpt from another film, From Hell to Paradise, Alice Hertz Sommer describes what music meant to her in the camp.
Vielleicht 25 ausgezeichneten Musikern. Es waren Dirigenten, es waren Kompositoren, Geiger, Cellisten, es waren Sänger, es waren Pianisten. Also diese Frau hat das organisiert, jeden Tag von 6, eine Stunde oder etwas länger als eine Stunde war ein Konzert. Die Konzerte haben stattgefunden im Rathaus, ein sehr netter, ich würde sagen gemütlicher Saal für vielleicht 150 Leute. Es war kein Flügel da, es war ein Pianino. Ich erinnere mich nur, dass im Winter, es war wirklich manchmal sehr kalt, sind wir im Wintermantel und in der Mütze am Kopf, haben wir konzertiert. wenn die Leute ein Programm gern hatten, mussten wir das wiederholen. Also ich habe zum Beispiel einen Beethoven-Abend gehabt, 3 Beethoven-Sonaten, und den habe ich mindestens 20 Mal gespielt. Und auch die Chopin-Etüden habe ich viel mehr gespielt. Also wenn etwas Ihnen gefallen hat, so haben Sie kleine Zettelchen geschrieben und das wurde gesammelt und dann. Dieses Publikum war unbeschreiblich. Ein richtiges, also Konzertgänger von den größten Städten Mitteleuropas, von Berlin, von Wien, von Warschau, von Amsterdam, von Paris. Ein wirklich gutes, und es war ein Vergnügen für sie zu spielen. Und wir waren, also sie waren verhungert und wir waren verhungert. Das Essen bestand aus einer schwarzen Flüssigkeit, die sich Kaffee nannte, das Frühstück. Mittag eine weiße Flüssigkeit, die nannte sich Suppe. Manchmal waren Kartoffeln und vielleicht einmal im Monat ein Stückchen Fleisch war drin. Und am Abend wieder der schwarze Kaffee sozusagen. Aber Brot hatten wir. Also man gewöhnt sich an dieses, man war Haut und Knochen natürlich, ganz dünn. Die Frauen haben die Menstruation sofort verloren, selbstverständlich. Aber man hatte Kraft, also Pianisten brauchen doch Kraft. Woher wir die Kraft genommen haben, das ist mir jetzt noch unbegreiflich. Es ist nämlich das Geistige dabei. Das war unser Food, also unser Essen, unser geistiges und körperliches Essen. Davon haben wir gelebt. Man hat sich gefreut, nicht nur, dass diese Leute, die dort sitzen, auch glücklich sind und vergessen eine Stunde. Schwerkranke, Alte und Junge, also es war unbeschreiblich, diese Atmosphäre bei diesen Konzerten. Das kann man gar nicht beschreiben.
Kann mich nicht konzentrieren.
Während dieser Konzerte, also eine höhere Macht hat uns am Leben erhalten. Wir waren ja wirklich ganz körperlich total erledigt, möchte ich direkt sagen. Und damals erinnere ich mich, ich habe die B-Dur-Sonate von Schubert, eine der großartigsten Kompositionen, unerhört, also wirklich, habe ich gespielt und da habe ich plötzlich im zweiten Satz, das ist eine erschütternde Musik, habe ich mir gedacht, wenn der Hitler hier sitzen würde und zuhören würde, diese Musik, würde er weiter so hassen? Ist das nicht ein Weg zum Gott, dieser Schubert? Da hasst man so. Wie ist das möglich?
The theme from Steven Spielberg's 1992 movie Schindler's List was composed by the award-winning composer, conductor, and pianist John Williams. In the original soundtrack, the theme was played by violinist Yitzhak Perlman. Williams had frequently collaborated with Spielberg on other films, and though he was amazed by this one, he originally felt it would be too challenging an assignment for him. "You need a better composer than I am for this film, Stephen," he reportedly told Spielberg. The director responded, "I know, but they are all dead." Perlman, in contrast, felt he was born to play the piece. "The subject of the movie is so important to me," he said, and I felt I could contribute simply by just knowing the history and feeling the history and indirectly actually being a victim of that history. Now, over 2 decades later, the Schindler's List theme song is recognizable all over the globe as the quintessential evocation of the Shoah in music. Performing it tonight are Gail Ashkenazi on piano and Lucy Underweiser on violin. The child of a survivor begs his mother not to return to visit her destroyed European town, a trip that he sees as foolish, void of meaning, and potentially too painful to process. Isn't everything just afar vava, ashes and dust? In the end, though, the child is resigned to the parents' trip and just wants to protect her, a common theme amongst the second generation. The last line, take a coat, you may be cold.
Yom Aviv, Echod Melach, Ein בחרot העיר שלך יום יפה לדור בנהר בתוכי הלב נשבר שם הייתה בעינה ילדותך אישה קטנה אנשים שאיש לא מכיר אין אפילו בית שיזכיר ואם את נוסעת ליד את נוסעת הנצח הוא רק אפר ויאבק ליד את נוסעת ליד את נוסעת שנים מכלומו לא נמחק חימאיר יהיה לך קר כסף כיס כבש סוכר אם יהיה קשים הימים יזכרי בי לפעמים ואם את נוסעת ליד את נוסעת הנצח הוא רק אפר ויאבק ליד את נוסעת ליד את נוסעת שנים מכלומו לא נמחק
During World War II, countless Jewish parents gave their sons and daughters to Christian neighbors, orphanages, and convents in the hopes of saving them. The parents prayed that at some future point they or their relatives would return and claim them. Sadly, when some of these children were tracked down after the war, those harboring them were not always cooperative in giving them back. Some priests and nuns claimed that there were no Jewish children in their care. Legend has it that Rav Yosef Kahanim of the Ponevezh Yeshiva dealt with the denials by simply asking to see the children in their quarters at bedtime. Permission was granted, and Rav Kahanim walked through the dormitories chanting Shema Yisrael. One by one, the children burst into tears of recognition and began to sob, to call out the words, Mama, Tate. This tale was the inspiration for Yaakov Shwekey's song, Shema Yisrael, which will be performed tonight by father and son, Meir and Baruch Abikai.
Saw the pain in his mother's eyes, left her little precious boy of 4 in a citadel of ashen stone that preached a faith unlike his own. Perhaps he may just yet survive this war. In the shadows stood a man in black. My child, he said, you must not look back. Yet one image lingered, the tears on her face, and mother's words from their last embrace. Shema, Shema Yisrael, know that there is but one God above. When you
Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad.
Deep within the iron gate, far from the stench of war and hate, he knew not of a world God had saved. You must believe us, he was told, our faith alone can save your soul. Please let us heal your wounds and ease your pain. He tried not to forget his past, his home, but he was so very young and all alone. While visions of his shtetl, once vivid and clear, began to fade and all but disappear.
Shema, Shema Yisrael, know that there is but one God above. When you feel pain, when you rejoice, know how he longs to hear your voice. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad.
The winds of war had finally passed. One man took on a sacred task to bring the scattered Jewish children home. He traveled far from place to place, a quest to reignite the faith of those sent into hiding long ago.
He entered the fortress gray and cold. Your kind is not among us, he was told. Hashem above, he whispered, please don't let me fail, as he began to sing Shema Yisrael. Shema, Shema Yisrael, know that there is but one God above.
When you feel pain, when you rejoice, and know how he longs to hear your voice. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Shema, Shema Yisrael, know that there is but one God above.
When you feel pain, when you rejoice, know how he longs to hear our voice. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad.
Hirsch Glick was a member of a talented group of young poets before the war and then continued his literary activity in the Vilna ghetto. Inspired by news of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, he wrote the words to the Song of the Partisans in 1943 and set them to the music of the Russian composer Dmitri Prokofiev. He was imprisoned in a concentration camp in Estonia shortly thereafter and was killed in 1944. This first line of this song is Zog nicht kein Mul as du gehst den letzten Weg. Never say that you are going your last way. It sets the tone of defiance that made this particular piece the anthem of the underground resistance movement throughout Europe. Please join the Men's Glee Club as we sing this Shir HaPartizanim together.
Es wird am Heute unser Volk, ihr seid da.
we are here.